I'm going to call to order the December the 20th, 2010 regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We're unable to have any Cub Scouts come in tonight, so I'd ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Bernie Lewis.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Please excuse the way I'm dressed. It's been a busy day. Time got away from me to get home, time to change. I thank you for this opportunity to open this meeting. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to just stand before this board that you've appointed, Father, that the government is over us. You have said in your word to submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, that let every person be subject to the governing authorities over them. For there's no authority except for God, and those who exist have been instituted by God. And Lord, we just continue to pray for them. We ask now that you give them wisdom, discernment to handle the business tonight that in this county that concerns the citizens, concerns them, and concerns all those things that will be touching tonight. Father, I ask that all things to be done here be honor and glorify you. I thank you for this time of this season that in 5 days we'll be celebrating the birth of the Lord Savior, Jesus Christ, the name under heaven by which all men must be saved. I thank you for the sacrifice of your Son, who now sits at the right hand of you in heaven, ever seating for those who you have chosen for salvation. We give you praise and glory in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. We have the agenda before us with two additions, is new business under G4 and supplemental information under F2. With this information, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move we approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Now, we did have some minutes that were presented to us, or we had earlier. This is from November the 1st, 2010. We have a motion to approve those minutes as they were presented.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Now it is the recognitions and presentations on C1, which is page 15 of our agenda. We have a special recognition and presentation. I'd call on Mr. David Hampton to please come up, as well as Mrs. Kay Crawford. Oh, Mr. Crawford, would you like to come up as well and stand with your wife?
Hi. I'll tell you all a little bit about Kay Crawford and recognize her on her retirement. She served as 18 years with the county, serving the citizens here as an administrative secretary. She's worked under 3 different EMS directors, which in itself is a challenge with all different personalities and ways that they go about business. She never flinched, held her own, kept the service running pretty smooth, a lot of times in spite of the directors, and kept things going. I've said on a regular basis that I have 2 people in my life that keep me straight. One's my wife and at home, and my at-work wife, which was Kay, that always kept me straight and kept me out of trouble. People heard she was retiring. It wasn't congratulations on your retirement. It was pretty much, what is David going to do? And so that's pretty much what I've been wondering, obviously, for the last few months. Kay's always been a great listener. She's been a great friend to the employees. She's always there. You'd see her talking with an employee about personal issues and turning around and balancing budgets. So she's always been there. I'd also want to thank Doug for letting her come in and spend the amount of time that she has with us. In EMS, obviously, it's a hard profession. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sure she's carried that home from time to time, but she's always been there. So her and her family and Doug has always been there supporting that. So with this said, I want to thank you for your hard work and countless hours you've put in. Enjoy your retirement. You've definitely earned it. And remember, I still have you on speed dial. With that, we want to present a plaque. And the plaque reads, the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners acknowledges with some sincere appreciation a dedicated service by K.H. Crawford in recognition of 18 years of service to the county, Cabarrus County and its citizens. September 11th, 1992 to December 30th, 2010.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have is Mrs. Judy Moose. Mrs. Farmer, if you'll please come up, as well as Mrs. Moose.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to present this plaque to Judy Moose, who works for tax collection for 22 years on the front line. That's quite an accomplishment in itself. Judy, as you can see, always has a smile on her face through thick and thin. She has done a wonderful service for Cabarrus County. She has been my coworker. I have been her manager, and I am her dearest friend. Congratulations, Judy. Mama.
Did you get the picture you needed?
Oh, I hope. Did you get it?
Real quick. Come on. Now, the next is on page 19 is Mr. Hampton, if you'll please come back up with Mrs. Laura Davis. And Mr. Davis, if you'll come on up. And you need to definitely slow down so the picture can be taken by Jacob.
No pictures, he doesn't have a camera.
Next, I'd like to take a moment to recognize Ms. Laura Davis, paramedic crew chief. This is one that's kind of hard to say where to start from. We basically go back to the beginning together. We both came to work here about the same time, some almost 30 years ago. And Laura has set some pretty amazing standards and records. She was one of the first females to work at Cabarrus County EMS. She came into work when we were a very male-dominated business, and she came in and obviously changed that real quick and fit right in and hadn't slowed down since. Some of the other things that she's did is she was the first female paramedic in Cabarrus County, and we did that. I don't remember what year it was, 86, so that's been a long time ago too. And she's been the only Cabarrus County paramedic or medic to retire, spending all of her time in the field. So she spent her entire almost 30 years running calls. And she's trained and touched countless lives with students that came in. I mean, her wealth of knowledge is just unbelievable, the amount of time that she spent. And I started, was just kind of interested as far as she's, been here for 30 years and she hadn't been off the street. She's been running calls the whole time. So I started doing some calculations, and the best that I can figure, she's ran in excess of 20,000 calls. And that's just phenomenal. I mean, you can't even imagine that. Because if you're in EMS, you realize that no two calls are the same. And so you look at the amount of knowledge and EMS knowledge that she's gained over this 30 years is just unbelievable. She's been a great employee, excuse me, most of the time, and a great friend all of the time. And I want to thank her husband, Johnny, because I can only imagine what he's went through these past, almost 30 years. Because in EMS, you have a bad shift, you have bad calls, and you take it home to your families. And he's been there the whole time. Probably, again, there's no telling what he's been through, and he's always been there, and her family's been there. And over 20,000 calls, you've definitely earned your retirement, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And David, doing some quick math, at 1,000 calls basically a year, that was about 40 calls a week.
Or if she could actually take and run every call in the county for an entire year by herself, and that's what it's 20 hours.
Thank you.
And,
Thank each of y'all.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
one thing to add to that is people don't realize either, among county employees, probably the EMT paramedic job is the most physically demanding job of any job that we have. And the lifting requirements, the awkward lifts, the chance of injury is so great with that group of employees, and to make it 29 years says a lot about you. So,
Thank you. Thank each of y'all. Now we have Don Cummings on his retirement. I call Mr. Downs up as well as Commissioner Cabarrus. And Mr. Cummings, if you'll please come up.
It gives me pleasure. It's my honor as well to introduce Don Cummings, who has been our Human Resources Director for the last 11 years, from December 1999 to December 2010. And over those years, Don's served us well, served the county well, served our employees well. He's touched a lot of lives that have walked through his office. And during that time, he's had his hands on several revisions of the personnel ordinance, the pay plan, the classification plan, drug-free workplace policies, performance evaluation forms have been redone several times since he's been here. So I want to congratulate Don on his 11 years of service. And we have Mr. Cabarrus is going to read his plaque to it.
And add to that, Don, I think I met him before I actually ever became a commissioner. And he's been the HR manager the whole time I've been on the Board of Commissioners. And I've come to recognize him as a friend as well. And he's been there a couple of times when I called him up about technical questions, especially the last couple of years. And I'm trying to straighten out some and trying to sort my way through some of the personnel stuff that goes on in county government across the state. And he's been very helpful there, and also been a contributor in a leadership role with other HR directors in other counties throughout the state. And so I want to congratulate him, and Don, this plaque is from the Board of Commissioners. Appreciating your dedicated service from December 1999 to December 30th, 2010.
May I?
Yes.
I'd just like to say a couple of words. First, I'd like to thank the employees of Cabarrus County for the good things that they do on a great job on an ongoing basis for the citizens of the county. My staff, for the assistance that they've provided over the years so that we can do the things that Mike's mentioned as far as providing benefits and working with employees over that period of time. I want to thank the board and the county manager and the manager's office for the support that you all have given county employees, which helps them do the job that you expect and that the citizens expect. Thanks to the department heads. Without them understanding at times what we're trying to get across and their assistance in making things happen, it's been a worthwhile endeavor and an interesting relationship at times, but it's always been good. And then I've enjoyed being the HR director and working for Cabarrus County, because I think we do a bunch of good things through the employees and with the leadership of the board for the residents and citizens of the county. It's been a great time, enjoyed it, and we're ready for the next chapter. Thank you all.
Thank you. Now, the next matter is informal public comments, where each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to voice their a statement concerning, well, whatever is important to them at the time. At this point in time, I would call on Mr. Rick Starnes.
Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to let me speak tonight. I'll just be very brief. I think most of you know that on the county commission that I have been dead against the way this jail situation has been handled. We have a very large jail across the street, and you're getting ready to vote tonight on almost $1 million to send prisoners to other county jails. That is a travesty. That is not fair to the Cabarrus County taxpayer. A jail this big, it's been approved since 2004, and you've known for years and years that it had to be staffed. Where and who dropped the ball? Was it the county commissioners? Was it our sheriff? No one seems to really want to ask the question. I think I'm truly the first one that's asked this question. Who dropped the ball on the Cabarrus County taxpayer? Could it be that you just didn't have the money, the funding? Was it because you gave $350,000 in cash to Cellguard, Obama's Cellguard, a battery company, as far as I know, hadn't even dug the first hole yet? This is not fair to the Cabarrus County taxpayer. We, in good faith, put you in office there to handle our money and to use it wisely, and it's not happening. Again, I'm going to reemphasize, we have a large jail across the street, empty, and we're sending prisoners to other county jails at the cost of almost $1 million. Where's the sanity? I just ask in the upcoming year, the new year, that you all will be more accountable with the way you spend our tax money. We certainly would appreciate it. Thank you.
Next we have is Mr. Price Crutchfield.
Yes, some members of the Concord Police Department are disrespecting our flag and disrespecting our troops by lying under oath in our courts, which are supposed to be about justice and fair play and the truth. Well, Scott Newell, he's a captain on the Concord Police Force. It's a matter of record. He told Judge Hamby under oath that I came into restaurants, more than one restaurant in fact, and harassed his family. He's a low-down liar. I challenged this person to the civil arena to show where I did this. It is absolutely not true. He's a liar. Also, too, I'm of the opinion that we've got a bunch of child molesters working over there at the Concord Police Department. My reasons are because whenever they get charged with felony sex crimes over there against minors, they're allowed to make plea bargains and not register as sex offenders. Our current district attorney, Roxanne Vonnehaven, she doesn't prosecute the police when they're charged with felony sex crimes against minors. I don't understand. I'm of the opinion that we've got a bunch of child molesters working over at the Concord Police Department. Now, I got arrested. I was standing in front of the Concord Police Department, and I said they're a bunch of child molesters. And I don't back away from what I said. I'm proud of what I said. The next day, 6 cars comes to my house and places me under arrest. You're under arrest for disorderly conduct for calling the police child molesters. Again, let me make myself perfectly clear so I can get arrested here tonight. I think there's a bunch of child molesters working over at the Concord Police Department. I'm waiting for the handcuffs. Now, if this is truly a fair deal here in Concord, the police should be subject to penalties just like everybody else. And that hasn't been the case. It's just business as usual. They do what they want. They drink liquor on school property. They don't get arrested. They harass people when they stop them on the road. They lie under oath in court and get away with sex crimes against minors at our schools. And then when someone like me, who's unempowered, complains about it, since we're trailer trash, we get thrown in jail. Again, the Concord Police should not be disrespecting our flag and our troops by lying under oath in court. And that's exactly what's been going on. And I think it's a shame and a disgrace. Again, I think that we've got a bunch of child molesters working over at the Concord Police Department. I really do. And I've been arrested for my opinions, and I'll get arrested again, I'm sure, in this fair city we got. And quite frankly, I think the religious right's got a little something to do with this, just a little bit. But I mean, I wouldn't point no fingers at nobody, but just a little bit. Or maybe I'm just paranoid. But I've been arrested 17 times, told I was a terrorist, told that I was trying to start violence, told that I was riotous, all absolute lies. This disrespects our troops. The police in positions of power and authority with a gun on their side who can lie over and over and over again, business as usual.
Thank you, Mr. Crutchfield.
Yeah.
You have a good night. Next matter we have is under old business is the resolution pertaining to future of animal shelter in Cabarrus County. This was tabled from our November meeting. This is found on page 23.
Mr. Chairman, with the challenge of the Christmas season as well as the election, we were scheduled to meet December 13th, and several people couldn't make it. We were afraid we would not have a quorum. And I figured I would not be very popular if I had people come out when it was 10 degrees to come to a meeting that we canceled once they got here. So we canceled that meeting ahead of time.
Okay.
I've talked to a couple of folks on the committee who would like for us to meet again to look at that resolution before we bring it to this board. What I want to do is to have, for us, our committee to meet. We'll be meeting early January, and I would like to bring this resolution to the board at our regular meeting next month, as well as let's put this item on our agenda for the retreat to talk about. Would like to look with the committee to come up with some solid recommendations of things to do so we can have a discussion of this at our retreat in January of where we're going to from here. So also, if you notice, there was an article, I believe in the Observer, that the manager shared with us here a couple weeks ago that the Humane Society is in the process now of purchasing another facility that will go a long ways towards some additional discussion about space needs, those kind of things, as we move forward with this. So with that, I'll make a motion that we table this action for this resolution until our January regular scheduled meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to table this to our January 3rd meeting, I believe.
So this would be the January.
Or are you wanting January the 17th?
18th.
The 18th.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be before our retreat, which is on the 28th.
Right. Well, what I would like to do is bring this to resolution to us on the 18th.
Okay.
And then we will have a further discussion about it on the 28th at our retreat.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes.
You know, I know there's been discussions about the no-kill program, and just in some of my research, I've been trying to look at some of the counties surrounding Cabarrus County and how they work with this. And to further my research, I want to know if there's a county in the state of North Carolina that there's kind of a model community or a county that you guys are looking at that.
Yes and no. There is, Lee County is the closest one I think we've had to being a no-kill community in the classic definition of what has been defined by the No-Kill Advocacy Center as a no-kill community. Most of the shelters are out of state, and the programs are out of state that have went with that program and have been successful with it. I can tell you that I have made a trip to Polk County, which has an organization called the Foothills Humane Society. They provide all the sheltering needs in that county, in Polk County, which is in the southwest part of the state. They provide, they have a save rate of over 93% on animals that are brought into that shelter. And the idea is, concept here with us is that right now we have animal control officers that do enforce the animal control ordinance. They're also running a public shelter that we provide them money for each year. And we have, in addition to that, the local Humane Society who is adopting out a lot of those animals, but would like to get them more involved and believe them more involved in that program so that the animal control officers can focus on being animal control officers and not having to spend a lot of time trying to find people that will adopt or rescue groups that will take these animals. And I think that's going to be the secret to our success. Plus, having more people volunteer come forward to be provide foster care for animals that are brought in. That's the biggest shortage we have in the community.
Thank you.
We have a motion to move this to our January the 18th week. We have a second. Second. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Next matter we have is under G1, is the Harrisburg Area Land Use Plan update and public hearing. Okay, the next matter we have, sorry about that, is G1, is the Harrisburg Area Land Use Plan update and public hearing. I'd call on Mrs. Morris at this time.
Good evening. I am pleased to present to you this evening the Harrisburg Area Land Use Plan. We have been working on this project for approximately 18 months. I'm also pleased to announce to you that on Monday night, the town of Harrisburg did adopt the land use plan, so it is official for the town of Harrisburg. You also have the interlocal agreement on your consent agenda this evening when you approve that. We will need to hold a public hearing tonight as part of this adoption process. I don't know if you all have any additional questions from the work session. Ms. Nealon is here.
She's behind you.
Is here to answer any questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you have, or if there's anything that you thought about over the last 2 weeks. Again, we had excellent participation in this plan, and we are very happy to be moving forward with it.
Any questions for Mrs. Morris? Yes, Commissioner Meismer.
I know the plan went before the Harrisburg Town Council. Were there any reservations from the town of Harrisburg with, any discussion with it? Or was it pretty solid?
It was pretty solid. Some of their commissioners or their town council folks have been participating in the process, which I think helped to move the process along as well as the vote. There really weren't very many questions. It was more comments that they made about the participation that they got from the community and the fact that they thought the way that the plan was done was a good way to get the community involved, especially with all the different types of resources and communication outlets that were used.
Thank you.
And for the Commissioner Meismer as Commissioner Burridge, Mrs. Meg Nealon is with Land Design, and she's the one that helped in coordinating these meetings, being a presenter, along with her staff and some others, and I forget all of their names, but they've been very instrumental, and I believe Commissioner Meismer, you're at several of the meetings,
Right.
I know that.
Yeah, I was at a few of the meetings, so thank you. I've seen a few of your presentations. Thank you.
Anyway, any other questions? Seeing none, I will open this up for a public hearing. Does anybody would like to speak for or against the Harrisburg Area Land Use Plan as presented in our agenda? Seeing none, I will close this public hearing. Do we have any further discussion on this board? Do we have a motion to adopt the Harrisburg Area Land Use Plan updated as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Going back under the consent agenda, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Under G2 is new business. Under new business of G2 is the presentation of the fiscal year 2010 comprehensive annual report. I call on Mrs. Farrington as well as Mrs. Brown. While you set up.
Okay, so we can see a little bit here. Okay, presented to you this evening is a comprehensive annual financial plan for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2010. We're required each year to have an audit, and we have with us tonight from the accounting firm of Martin Starnes, Erica Brown, who's an accounting manager with the firm. We've used this firm for 2 years now, so and we've been very pleased with it, and we'll hear from her shortly. Each year, the financial staff of Cabarrus County spends a considerable amount of time going through the records, getting everything ready for the auditors before they come in. So that consumes most of our time during the summer, getting ready for the audit. When they come in, they're looking for internal control type issues and making sure that we've recorded everything. We have all of our expenditures up to date and our revenues recorded. At the same time, though, we're also running 2 sets of books. We're also, like for this year, we're truing up our numbers for 2010, and we're also running, business keeps going as normal, 2011 starts rolling. And so we're doing that for July, August, September, and by October 31st, we have to have everything turned into the local government commission, and which was what we shoot for each year. And we did, once again this year, we turned everything in on time, so they had everything. This is the 25th year that we have received the GFOA's Certificate of Achievement for Financial Reporting, and that is on another slide. You can see this. The certificate, we got that for the 2009 year. We just turned in our application for 2010. Should be hearing from them March, April timeframe. Hopefully we'll get that for the 26th year. Just to go through a couple pages in the audit, I've been told I need to go quick tonight, so not to get tied up into too many numbers. But I did want to show you just a few things to highlight for the year. And let me blow this up just a hair so we can see it. Okay, this is our balance sheet, and this also on your page 514 in your agenda packet. But the balance sheet, just like any other balance sheet, and we're going to concentrate on the general fund, which is our main spending account for the county. And let me blow this up just a hair more. In the general fund column, like any other balance sheet, our assets have to equal our liabilities and fund balance. Just wanted to highlight just a few things on this page and see if you had any questions also. But just going down just to show you that we have $75 million in assets, and we have our liabilities and fund balance also of $75.3 million in that fund, in the general fund. Just some of the bigger amounts, the cash and cash equivalents at the year end, we had our cash in the bank, and we had some investments in our North Carolina Cash Trust, and a little bit of commercial paper for the year end. Going on down, we have receivables. We have quite a bit of receivables. The largest one there is called due from the other governments. That's our sales tax. Each year we have 2 months of sales tax, so we don't even know how much it's going to be until we get it in July and August. So sales tax is very, very volatile. We try and predict it each year, but it's very hard because the sales, they're changing the rules on how it's distributed. Some of our sales tax went up, some of them went down, some of it was taken away through the past years because of the state taking over Medicaid. So this it's changing through the years, but we keep plugging around trying to estimate it each year. So that's one of the larger things in assets. Stop me anytime if you have any questions. Down in our liabilities and fund balance, we have our accounts payable, which is all the things that at June 30th, we don't have all our bills in. We don't have all the salaries paid, so that's what goes into accounts payable. On down into our fund balance, this is sort of like our savings area, but we have some items that we cannot spend, so we have to reserve those. And so we have reserved for state statute, which is mainly our receivables, and we have some prepaid items, some inventories, and then whatever's left is called our unreserved fund balance, and this year is $54 million. Come on down. So any questions on the balance sheet? Okay, I'm going to switch on over to our, the next screen I want to show you is the revenues and expenditures. On the next page, I have the revenues, and it's by major funds, and we have all our funds listed there. Again, we're going to concentrate on the general fund, and it has all of our revenues that's coming in and our expenses, and then the difference. This current year, we had a difference of $14.3 million to add to our fund balance. On the next page that I have on this, and this is on your page 517 in your agenda if you want to follow along. We have the original budget and the final budget, and for this, each year we want to show where the budget started out, where it ended up, and then our differences. So this just details in much more detail by category and all of our different types of revenues coming in. Of course, our largest one is ad valorem ad valorem taxes, and so that's the first line up there. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
What is sales and services?
That's all of our, get back up there. Oh, sorry.
Just click on it. Here you go.
And that's all of our our sales, I'm drawing a blank. The permits and fees are revenues, and so our sales and services are other items. I'm trying to draw a blank, sorry.
The largest item in there is our ambulance fees. It's fees we collect for activities that we actually engage in with the community. I'm kind of drawing a little blank, but I know that like I said, the bulk of it is the sales and services. Park fees, library fees,
and
fee-based programs that we actually have within the county.
And going down to investment earnings, the
Yes.
investments that we're in are very conservative
Yes.
investments. I mean,
We did not, our interest rates are, just extremely small, but that's our interest for the year. We started out with $1 million at budget you see there, and we actually had to reduce it, to like a tenth of what we had originally predicted based on getting into the year and the interest rates just plummeting. So we did come out with $211,000 in interest.
and under current expenses, human services.
That's our social services.
Okay.
Our
Education's the Cabarrus County Schools.
Cabarrus County Schools, Coapolis City Schools, Rowan Cabarrus, our community college.
And those, the majority of the current expenditures are required services that we must fund.
Correct. We have
And,
our
and a lot of it is dictated at a certain amount.
yes, especially the social services.
It's not discretionary, I should say.
Social services, a lot of our expenses are also offset by revenue. So if the revenues, you know, if expenses go up, then our revenues are going to go up to match them.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Under debt services, we retired $20 million of debt service this past year.
That's our debt service payments.
Payments, okay.
Payments, and that could be new debt, old debt. Some debts does come off, you know, after 15, 20 years that it does drop off. We also had a new bond issue this year, was $85 million for schools.
Okay.
So those debt payments will start coming on in future years.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Under expenditures, what is the culture and recreation?
Sure, that's our Parks and Rec department and the libraries.
Yes,
And also our arena.
Thank you.
I'm going to go on to the next screens. We have, after that, we looked at why I had a surplus this year, and just wanted to show you a few things on that. We had revenues that came in over budget, and we had expenditures that came in under budget. And we've got some of the more larger items detailed there for you. Our ad valorem sales tax came in at $2.1 million over what we had projected it to come in at, which is good in these times. Our percentage collection rate still stayed pretty high compared to other counties, so we were doing good on our property taxes. The other taxes are sales tax, and like I said earlier, that was very hard to predict, but we still came in about $900,000 over budget on the sales tax. Intergovernmental revenues are our grants for different programs that we do through social services or different other departments. Our permits and fees, register deeds and building permits. There's our sales and services again we talked about earlier, miscellaneous revenues. And then we had the last item there is the transfers in from closed out capital projects. When we get through with a capital project and maybe we had some savings like our jail that we had saved some money by using our construction manager at risk, then we're able to transfer some of that money back into our general fund to help pay for debt service, which is a good thing. So that happened this year. Going on down through the expenditures, we did not make the contribution to the capital reserve fund that we'd originally thought we might be able to, trying to reserve that this year. Foster care, salary and benefits, we came in under budget, and some of the other little smaller amounts on down. So that was just a synopsis of some of the things that happened during the year.
Good question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And under SMG contribution for arena operations, now is that we came in $258,000 better than what we projected we would in the budget?
Right, we have a certain amount each year that we budget so that we're ready to make those contributions, and they will ask for contributions as needed based on their expenditures. Mm-hmm. And so we did not have to transfer to them $258,000.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Okay.
I think it's under expenditures, there's a lot to be said about the Department of Social Services because foster care, foster care, public assistance, those are all directly related to the Department of Social Services, and my hat's off to Mr. Rose as well as the whole staff out there. They seem to have done a very good job in trying to keep that under control. I know foster care about 3 years ago was 4 times the size it is now, so that they've done a very good job.
And the audit, it's like 160 pages, and a lot of times, the CAFR call it, it's a lot of detailed schedules behind these roll-up schedules that I'm highlighting tonight. So there's a lot of detail in the book, so if you have any questions, you just contact me. I don't mind going through and showing you the roadmap of how it comes all together to the front section of the book. I just wanted to point out that we had some other major statements. We have our proprietary funds, which is our landfill, and our internal service funds, which we have our self-insured health insurance and liability funds there. And we also have fiduciary funds where we hold money for other people, and we have to report all that too. And then, of course, we have our notes to the financial statements, and that's a large section in our book, and it details more description of all the different items that we have in our audit, so it just gives you a lot more of a readable presentation. I'm going to turn it over to our auditor, and this is Erica Brown with Martin Starnes. But before I do that, is there any more questions I can answer? Okay, get your screen here. Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and present to you some information about your annual financial report. I just wanted to start off by thanking Susan and her staff. They are always more than well prepared for us, and that makes my job easier. I think her job easier too as well for when we're out here. I just want to thank her for that and her staff because they do a wonderful job. I want to start a little bit by talking about the audit process, just to give you an overview of how this process goes. A lot of people think that we come out for the audit and we're here 2-3 times a year and that's all the contact that we have, but I talk to Susan very frequently. We're talking on the phone and email of any questions that come up, any questions she has on some accounting issues, just unusual things that they might need some guidance on, so we're always in contact. No sooner do we finish up the current year audit that we're looking forward to the upcoming audit. As Susan said, we submit our audit to the Local Government Commission in October, and by then we're almost halfway through our fiscal year 2011 year. So we're always looking ahead. We come out and do our interim procedures, normally early spring, late winter. We come out and we look at internal controls, any changes that have happened in departments. We do walkthroughs and we test compliance, and the compliance that we test is related to grants that you have. Then we come back in August and we perform our final fieldwork procedures, and this is when we test your financial statement balances to subsidiary ledgers. And we also look at some more compliance and internal controls. We have an exit conference before we leave, and once the financial statements are prepared and we have looked over them, we issue our opinion letters and submit your report to the Local Government Commission. A summary of your audit: we did issue an unqualified opinion, and this is the best opinion that you can get. We had no financial statement findings or question costs, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified, and these are related to your grants. And as I said before, the staff was fully prepared and cooperative with us. One other thing I just wanted to go over is there's a financial reporting change for 2011, and this is for financial periods beginning after June 15th, 2011. Some of these changes, pretty much the changes that you're going to see is they have changed terminology in fund balance. Susan talked a little bit about reserved and unreserved fund balance, designated, undesignated. This terminology is going to change. This is GASB 54, and just wanted to...
It's what now? Something 54?
Yes, it's GASB 54.
Can you explain what GASB is?
Sorry, the Government Auditing Standards Board.
Okay.
Let me just look at my notes real quick here. What you see on your financial statements right now is reserved, unreserved, restricted fund balance, and these classifications, it's really just a terminology change. Their goal was to make it a little bit more understandable. I don't know that that's the case, but it's just going to be a little bit of a learning curve.
And this is coming from the federal government?
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. So we'll be there to help out. There's something, we just want to make sure that before the audit is over, before you end your year, that where you want things to be assigned in that category, that you've met those requirements. That's all I have.
That's it.
Any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Brown or Mrs. Farrington? Commissioner Caruth?
Yeah, just one quick one is, I guess I ask it every year, and I always think I get it all mixed up here, but when in $14.3 million is surplus this year. Now that is what's transferred to our capital reserve fund. Is that?
That's actually just increases our fund balance.
Okay.
It is not transferred to
Okay,
the
because I know that we had that 15% policy, and I'm not sure if that.
That's another act that we would normally do, that we typically do, or we have done in the past. But that is not being, that's not being addressed tonight.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So.
That's right. We haven't recommended it because we were facing a number of challenges over the next couple of years. We'll be hearing more well, you can see a lot of it already in the county's 5-year plan. We'll talk about it at the retreat, but there's some very significant issues coming our way.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to accept the fiscal year 2010 comprehensive annual financial report as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Have a safe trip back to Hickory.
Thank you.
Next matter that we have before us is the designation of a voting delegate for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Legislative Goals Conference. This is a conference that's scheduled for January the 20th and the 21st of next year in Durham. We need to designate a commissioner or other official as the county's voting delegate. Is there anyone on this board that is interested or has the ability, the time, to go up there on the 20th and the 21st?
I'd like to volunteer my time.
I'll make a motion to appoint by acclamation Commissioner Meismer to be the delegate for the Legislative Goals Conference. It's very important, and thank you for stepping up and being willing to do that. So we have anybody have any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Meismer. Next matter is moving on to appointments. G4 is County Manager, Council for Sustainable Local Economy Budget Amendment. Mr. Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back a few months ago, the board created the Council for Sustainable Local Economy. I was asked to develop a budget for that and bring it back. I waited until I got word very recently from the Cannon Foundation that they have awarded the county $50,000 to go toward this initiative. So we're very thankful to them and very pleased that they recognized the merit in this effort. So what you have before you is a budget amendment for $50,000. We anticipate that it's going to be about $100,000 to run the program for the first calendar year, but this is the remainder of the fiscal year. $50,000 to hire some consulting services, and then also to have a support position for the council, similar to what has been done with the Food Policy Council. This position, depending upon the individual, is anticipated to be 40 to 20 hours a week. And we don't want to rule anyone out that might be the ideal person for this, so we've left it very flexible. So we've just asked for a motion to approve the budget amendment and create the position as requested.
Vice Chair Poole.
I would be happy to make the motion that we approve the budget amendment and we create the position. I think that small business is an area that's going to see our economy prosper, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of this effort and finding out what the local businesses see that county government can do to help to stimulate the economy here.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll make a second on that motion. Is there any further discussion?
I've got a couple questions.
Commissioner Meismer.
I think this is a great idea, and growing up in small business myself, I think it's a good way to help the community. The hours indicated 20 to 40 hours. That's a big discrepancy. What's
Well, it depends on, really, as we're working through this, what looks like is going to be really necessary to do it, and depending upon the experience of the person that's hired. So a person with a great deal of experience may be able to accomplish the task really more efficiently.
Is the salary going to reflect?
And the salary would obviously, if you're hiring someone with a greater amount of experience, then
certainly
it's going to command a
And
higher
the consulting
amount.
services, has there been a decision about that? Who will
There'll be a presentation. In fact, in the original documents that were done creating this, there had been a reference to Michael Schumann, who is the author of a couple of books about local businesses, independent local business, one of which is the Small Mart Revolution. Yes. And we have had some meetings with him, discussions with him. He is working on a proposal, which will come back to the board.
Okay, great.
And my understanding is we're going to fund this $100,000, which will be for the calendar year, but then we will hit our budget deliberations. We'll determine then whether we're going to continue the program or the funding for the program past December 2011. That's what would be part of our budget deliberations. Excuse me. Okay. One thing I just want to make sure that we're working, this is in tandem with our existing business organizations, and I think that will be with our council. There will be representatives that are coming from a wide variety of sources in our community for this, because I don't want to see it become something we're competing with other business advocacy organizations in the community, but I think it's very important. So I look on this board, I realize that we've got 3 folks on here at least that benefit directly from, have small businesses or benefit directly from our local small businesses. So I think it's critical to our economy.
Well, I know that there have been quite a few applications that have been submitted already, many from small businesses, and I look at it as something that works in conjunction with the Economic Development Corporation. And they have been doing a tremendous job in regards to locating, analyzing, and attempting to recruit in this economy, which is extremely difficult, new businesses to come here. I think this is another way to provide that opportunity. And I believe that at one of the presentations that Mr. Cox went to at a meeting, there was an idea of this mojo and creating a mojo in an area, and that's through small businesses. That is another tool or another arrow in the quiver of the EDC to bring larger businesses here wanting to have that connectivity and that synergy. And I believe that there's been some other board members from the EDC saying that there's an idea that there is, when businesses are coming to look, that they're looking for a different feel than what they see where they are located. So I think this is a good opportunity to work with the Economic Development Corporation and the EDC, and to have a good opportunity for Cabarrus County as a whole. With that, is there any other discussion? We have a motion, we have a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we are going to the appointments to boards. First appointment is the Department of Aging Advisory Board. Is there a motion to reappoint Mrs. Kay Scott, Jean Chandler, Anita Helms, and Annette Young to the Department of Aging Advisory Board for 3-year terms ending December 31st, 2013, including an exemption to the multiple service provision of the appointment policy for Mrs. Helms?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next matter is the Planning and Zoning Commission assignment, modifications, and appointment. Is there a motion to make the following changes to the existing Planning and Zoning Commission appointments? Move Mr. Barry C. Shoemaker to the Kannapolis area position to complete an unexpired term ending August 31st, 2011. Move Mr. Larry Inslee to the Northwest area position to complete an unexpired term ending August 31st, 2011. And move Mrs. Brenda Cook to the at-large position to complete an unexpired term of term ending August 31st, 2012, and to appoint Mr. Rick Price to represent the Midland Planning Area to complete an unexpired term ending August 31st, 2012. Are there motions to those effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And there is always a request that there are some positions that are open for different boards. If you are interested, if you'd please go to our website at cabarruscounty.us/commissioners/boards and committees. And if you cannot get all of that, if you'll call 920-2109, we certainly would appreciate any consideration that you may have. With that, I believe that we've completed all of our business for the evening other than a closed session to discuss threatened or pending litigation. Is there any comments from this board?
Mr. Chairman, just one quick thing,
Bruce.
quick item. And we had a speaker earlier tonight that mentioned about our jail across the street, and I wanted to, somebody just tuned in tonight, I'm sure would would, and I'm sure, you know, he would be glad to share with them his points tonight to anybody who wants to listen to him in the community. But that we have a couple of items to consider. The fact that the jail is still undergoing a lot of the testing of the systems. Understanding too from our last work session that if we hired staff right now to staff the jail, that it would actually cost us $300,000 more than the part we approved tonight, which would not be smart for the taxpayers of Cabarrus County. So if anybody has any questions, they should certainly contact any one of us or our county manager, and they explain, you know, what's going on with the jail. And now you know the rest of the story.
Well, and also at the work session, we still have not been able to get a CO, a certificate of occupancy. So even if it may be sitting there, but nobody can occupy it until we get a certificate of occupancy that's issued by the city. So we're waiting on that as well. Any other comments? Oh, yes, sir, Commissioner Burridge.
The amount of money's been spent to outsource these prisoners, does that include more than what's there now? We got 179 outsourced. How many, does that depend on how many's gonna be arrested between now and June or whatever? Is that gonna cover the amount of prisoners we're gonna have?
The presentation that we had at our work session, it was my understanding that that is a liberal expense number, so that it should cover that amount. And the reason why we based the numbers and last year's budget on what had happened in years past, and it's gotten greater than the norm. So that I believe that there will be a change coming up in the next 6 months in regards to more cases being pushed through or going through the system, so that I think that overall there'll be a change. So it'll be lower than what we're seeing right now, is my gut feeling right now as we sit today.
Well, I think the economy has a lot to do with what's going on right now, how many people have been put in jail.
Yes, sir. That is one of the issues. Yes, sir. Commissioner Cabarrus.
That's it. That's okay. Make a motion to go into closed session.
Well, before we do that, I do have one statement today. This is the time of year that we have the opportunity that earlier today, Commissioner Meismer, Commissioner Caruth, Vice Chair Poole, and myself, Commissioner Burge, did not have the opportunity because of prior commitments to recognize employees that had worked at the Cabarrus County for various years. We recognized 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. The sum total, if you were to add all of the employees that were just recognized, not that have worked here, that recognized, it totals up to about 1,360 years, if I remember correctly. One person, Mrs. Christine Barrier, has worked for the county 35 years, and that's a testament. There was 2 people that have worked for the county for 30 years. There was, I believe, 7 people at 25 years. And, you know, we could not do our job without the hard work that they do. You know, they make our job a lot easier, a lot less stressful, and, you know, for that I'm very thankful. And we go into this season, we're in the midst of the holiday season, recognizing the great things that we're beneficial for and we're blessed with, but also the opportunity for next year to try and do better. We're always striving to do better, and the 5 of us up here, and I know the many people that work for the county strive to do better each and every day, and for that, you know, I'm very thankful. But thank you all very much. I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and I don't think I've left anything out. But everybody have a great time. Be safe, because it will be an enjoyable time. With that, Commissioner Caruth, we have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries.